Hey everybody, it's Saturday, the 5th of August, or 5th of September. Oh, I'm losing myself 1 week. 5th of September, it's a Saturday morning, it's 10 a.m. I just finished my Mad Muscles workout. I think this is the third week I've been doing Mad Muscles, and it's going pretty well. The workouts are fairly routine, but they pushed me enough. I'm still not sure if I'm going to continue with it. I'll see what the cost is again. But I do think that it's probably worth it, especially if you want to work out at home and you need some structure to how you do work out. There's probably more that the app offers. I haven't explored it that much, but I might do that before I end it just to see, or I might look for another offer later in the year, probably around Black Friday or during the holidays. So this is the last day of week 16. 16 weeks left in the year, and 16 weeks left until I am unemployed and basically early retirement. I decided to do this chronicle starting at week 30. Back in June, when I was notified when we agreed that we would cut my position due to budget cuts at the organization. I'm one of the positions. It was a voluntary redundancy because I'm ready to leave. I'm ready to leave this job. I'm not necessarily ready to stop working, but things don't look very promising as far as where I'm going to live in Laos. And even just globally, the jobs for someone like me, I don't think really are out there anymore. So we'll see. If I can get some small job or some part-time job or consulting, I'll do that. But I'm not going to go looking for it, especially initially. I'm looking forward. It's been 30 years almost non-stop of working. I know that's probably nothing for most people, but I'm working abroad for 30 years. That's taken a toll on me, and ever since I got married, that's changed my perspective, because I thought before that I would just work until I'm dead. I never imagined stop working. I loved what I did. I loved where I went, even in the worst and hardest of places, even with some of the most difficult people. But after I met what is now my wife, and then just seeing the dissatisfaction I'm having in the job, starting 5 years ago. I'm in this job 8 years, but it's 5 years now. I just realized I wanted to leave this particular job for a long time. But things, they kept asking me to stay, and I stayed. Part of it's out of convenience because my wife can live here. She's Lao, so she can easily adapt to the culture here. And, it's relatively comfortable, decent pay. But time has come to an end. And 5 years ago, I remember when I was thinking about stop working, I always visioned 2025 is it. 2025 is going to be my year. I didn't know how I was going to make it because I didn't have enough. I had just used the majority of my savings to buy the small house that we have in Laos, and I didn't know how I was going to get that back, And I was committed to some bad investment it wasn't a bad investment, but I don't think it's the best investment. I was still investing in some funds in the UK, and I realized that was a mistake. I committed myself to a contract that I would pay so much money over 15, 20 years. When they talk to you, they're like, you're not going to stop working when you're 55 or 60. You think, I'm in the prime of my life. I'm making this much money. I can keep contributing like this. I never considered the fact that I would want to stop working. That didn't cross my mind. And I never really knew that there were better ways to invest in the stock market and to grow my wealth, compared to what they were paying me and compared to what I was paying in management fees. It's such a regret that I could have been in a much better position financially than I am now. But I think the biggest thing is I never considered I never thought that I would want to stop working early. And then just since 2019, 2 years into this job, I realized I don't want to stay in this job. I wasn't happy, and it's just gotten worse. It was tolerable for a couple years, and then just past 3 years have been the worst. But I stuck with it. The pay was decent enough, and it was easy enough that it didn't require a lot of movements. And there still was, and organizations are starting to localize their positions more and more. So the positions aren't there, especially for me to be as selective as I want to be. But anyway, circumstances are what they are. And the vision that I had for retiring early in 2025 is actually happening. And financially, I should have enough for us to live okay. Simply. There's not much fat. Unless something crazy happens to my portfolio, there's not a lot of fat in my portfolio, in my investments, but it's enough for us to probably live very comfortably, even with me paying for our own health insurance. So I kind of went off there a little bit, but this week this is going to be my only video for the week. A lot has happened. It's the end of week 16. Tomorrow we'll start week 15. A lot has happened at work. There's a lot of drama there, and I can't really go into it right now. But let's just say the finance team, for the most part, are starting to realize what they're going to have to manage without me. And I think people are starting to get a little desperate. Unfortunately, two leaders in charge of it don't see it. Because they're not systems people. They're not systems people. They know nothing about finance, and they're not going to see it. And there's nothing I can do to help them see that. But the finance team does see it, and I don't know what they're going to do. And the thing I've been struggling with is, the other directors dropped the little comment the other day. Maybe we'll have some small jobs for you after you leave. He said it in a way it was like he was doing me a favor, it was manipulative. It was manipulative, which is how he leads. It's manipulation. And maybe we'll do something for you. And I'm like, I just smiled and walked out of the room. Anyway, I better leave it there because that's not evolved yet, and we'll see. But I woke up, this was a struggle. I struggled with it this week. I did lose sleep. I'm concerned about how they're going to manage, especially in the first 6 months. It's the first quarter of the year is, for most people, most organizations, is very intense. The end of the year, the audits, the end of year reports, closing the books, but new budget for the new year. It's massive. And the fact that when I think about when I volunteered my position to be made redundant for the sake of saving 3 other finance positions, it was either me or 3 other finance positions, and I didn't want them to lose their job. None of them batted an eye at it, even when we mentioned it to the board. None of them questioned it. So that tells me there's a serious lack of understanding and of what the impact of that's going to be, especially when you're going to be giving my responsibility to people who can't do it. Even if they could do it, they don't have the time to do it. But the fact that the leadership didn't understand this, and I just think they're just so prideful. I think they're ready for me to go. I've become a persona non grata at work, and they clearly, I'm not appreciated anymore. I'm not appreciated for what I do. So yeah, my job is to get through the transition over the next couple months, make sure my team have what they need, hand over as clean as I can, instruct them with what's coming, with what the cycle looks like, and then that's it. I think next week there's a meeting to talk about what's going to happen next week, because my successor, he's raising a stink about this, and he called for a meeting with the director and me to discuss this. And I'm like, what do you want me to do? I'm done. You gave me my termination letter. As of January 1st, that's your problem now. It's not my problem anymore. And I'm trying to let that go. I'm concerned about them, but I need to let that go because it's not my problem. And I served, I got paid, and I gave them my deliverables, and I will continue to do that until the end of the year. So I just went a little deeper there than I really expected to, but it's been stressful just to do that because it's not my nature to cut ties like that. I feel a sense of responsibility and stuff, and it's not my responsibility, and it's not anybody's responsibility. Once you get your last paycheck, that's it. You don't owe anybody anything. You got to take care of yourself. And that was one of the things that my successor said to me. He's got to think about his health without this. And I'm like, yeah. The only thing you have, your work, your health, and your family is the only thing you're going to have when you're gone from here. That's it. Nobody's the organization is not going to take care of you. That's it. They don't. You'll probably barely be remembered within a year. You'll be referred to. You'll be blamed for everything when you're gone. And I'm expecting that. And it's every time I come into a new job, they blame everybody before me. I arrive. So yeah, that's just the life cycle of this. And you're not married to the organization. When you're done, when they give you your paycheck or your termination letter, that's it. I don't owe them anything else. But it's been hard for me to get through that process. Yeah, I just wanted to document that. It's been very hard to get through the process. It's not my nature. So I decided that I'm not, even the question came up, if they recalled my termination letter and asked me to stay an extra 6 months to finish out my actual contract, which ends next June, would I do it? And I lost sleep that night thinking about it, thinking what are the conditions, what would I want, and what would I negotiate? And then I just woke up and I'm like, no, it's over. At the end of the year, it's over. I don't owe any kind of obligation. I don't have any obligation beyond that. Then the other question then was, will I help support them with small projects? And I woke up and that's the one thing I know my answer already, but I'm not going to say at this point. I want to hear what the director what his idea is for next week. And I'm praying about it. I'm going into it with an open mind, but I'm pretty settled on what my decision is. It's time to move on with the next chapter of my life, because I'm afraid if I keep doing small projects for them afterwards, the emotional ties, the anxiety is going to linger, because I'm emotionally involved in my work. I am. And I put a lot of effort into it, and that's why I get upset if things don't go the way they're supposed to, and the way we've discussed in our meetings. People don't do what they said they're going to do, and then I got to fix it in the finances. There's a lot of emotion attached to that, and I've never been very good with cutting it off and drawing the line. And like some people are able to go home at 5 and then turn it off, and I've not been good at that. Most of my jobs have always been like 24/7 jobs. I'm thinking even about this stuff. In the last 7 years, I've hardly had any weekend free. No weekend, no holidays. All my holidays have always been interrupted with something from work to work on. And I'm just tired of that. I'm done with it. So I want to be. I've got maybe 30 years left in my life, and I want to spend it with my wife. Even if that means we end up eating ramen noodles, it's not going to be that bad. But that's my point. Even if it's ramen noodles, it's going to be a better day than having living with the life anxiety. I feel like sometimes I can't breathe. I feel the stress in my throat contracting. I get, when I'm sitting there with my wife and I'm thinking about the budget, and I'm sitting in church worrying about the next conversation at work, and I'm like, I want to be rid of that. I'll probably do another chronicle of my anxieties this far out from anxieties about finishing off work. I think that would be very interesting to document and look back on, because otherwise I do write in my journal, I write these things out, but sometimes it's just better to verbalize them. And then if I had something to think about, look back on a year or two from now, it would be very interesting to compare how I feel. So that went not much longer than I expected. I will stop that there. So this week I finished reading Song of Solomon. Sometimes it's called the Song of Love, I think. It's a very interesting book. It's not really Jesus-centered, or it's not really God-centered. It's more, it's poetic letters between lovers. The assumption is Song of Solomon did write it, King Solomon, to his lover. And some of the things, it was interesting to get through. I'm glad it's only 10 chapters, because any more of that would have been, you like gag me with a spoon, old-fashioned, like very romantic. And I don't quite understand it when, he had more concubines than probably anyone ever. So I don't understand what it is with this particular woman that just made him write all of these songs. But they're interesting to read through anyway. But the other interesting thought about Song of Solomon is, it doesn't really focus on Israel. It's not focused on kings or anything like that. It's a love story between two lovers, and you're like, what is this doing in the Bible? But my take from it is, I think God put Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, and I think he did that. He was expecting a love story, and the Bible is a love story. But here it's a story between two humans, and I think I take from it that God does take pleasure in human love, the love we have for one another. And especially when you find a partner, a spouse that you love dearly, and this is the sentiment you're supposed to have toward that person. And I feel like that toward my wife. Every day I just cannot believe how much I adore her. I just absolutely adore her, everything about her. And I cannot believe how blessed I am to have found someone like her. I cannot believe it. That we're together, it's going on 11 years, I think. So 2014, we're together 11 years, and every day I just adore her. When I say I love you, it's not automatic. It's like, I love you. And I cannot believe, and I thank God that I have you. I don't know if I would, in Song of Solomon's, he calls his spouses or the woman's breasts like, your breasts are like gazelles. I don't know if I call her breast gazelles. They're cute, but they're not, I certainly don't think of a gazelle when I see them. Oh my gosh, where did I go there? So I'm started Isaiah. I heard it's also called Isaiah. And he's one of the prophets. I won't go much into it. He's probably the most famous of the prophets in the Old Testament. He's the one who predicted, spoke of Jesus' coming. I think he's referred to a lot in the Old New Testament, and some of the things he predicted about the coming of Jesus. But Isaiah, it's a lot of poetic type. He's chastising Israel for their falling away from God, and he's warning Israel to fall back in love with God and to follow the ways. And some of the verses, they talk about the loftiness and the haughtiness of man shall be brought low, and the Lord will be exalted. So one of my favorite verses is the pride before the fall. And people are prideful. And one of the things I pray for regularly is God to keep me humble. And keep me humble before you have to break me. Even if it's a small rebuke, even if it's a rebuke of some level, keep me humble, because you don't want God to break you hard because of pride. Pride is the biggest sin. Pride is the ultimate sin, and it's the one thing that keeps us from Him. Pride is the root of all evil, and pride of money, pride of power, pride of wealth, pride of this is who I am. It's pride, and we need to keep our pride crushed and small, or non-existent, really, for God to exist in our lives. So that was the quick takeaway there. Another quick, before this one gets too long. So the stock market, September is showing its true colors. September is notoriously, historically red, the worst month of the year, depending on how you look at it, the worst performing month. But if you reverse that psychology, it's the best month to buy stocks, because the prices are on discount. The stocks are on discount. So if you keep your shopping list for stocks that you want to buy, you watch for the discounts coming, and you stock up, because historically the next 3 months are what they call the Santa run, the Santa rally, and we're expected to go into all-time highs by the end of the year, over the next year. The AI boom is not over, and some of the companies we saw this week reveal that Google won a big they've been sued by the DOJ. Am I saying that? District of Judges, or what is that called? I don't know. The DOJ. They've been trying to sue Google as a monopoly for the last 5 years, for them to break up the company, saying they're too powerful. They're too much of a monopoly, and when in fact they really aren't. They want them to divest themselves from Chrome. Chrome is the core of what can you imagine? Chrome is the core of what Google operates in. I don't want to go into the details of it, but Chrome is the core of everything Google is built around. So they want to basically remove its heart. I think Google. They always say Google could still be worth a lot more broken up, but all the people who use Google and Chrome and stuff, all the products, you'd be losing the thing that makes it hold together. It's crazy. Systems are built around Chrome, Gmail, YouTube, and all the AI products. So it's really, that would be like you inventing something and you becoming so wealthy from it that someone comes and tells you, oh, we have to take this from you because you succeeded too well. You were too successful. Can you imagine? That's not capitalism. Capitalism creates competition. Competition creates better prices, better products, and choice. You take capitalism away, you remove everything we have to date. You remove it. That's why prices are able to stay as low as they are. They are competition, and that's how societies can become more and more advanced because of capitalism. You let people use their inventive ideas to make, hopefully, life better. I don't know if the internet's made life better, but in many ways it hasn't, but just insane that they would be sued for that. And they're not a monopoly, ChatGPT and Amazon with their Claude and some of the others, they're showing that there's competition. ChatGPT really saved Google from any kind of negativity, negative rolling. They showed, because ChatGPT has become arguably, they thought ChatGPT was going to destroy Google when they're seeing it's not. They just made it more competitive. So ChatGPT actually saved Google from being broken up. So anyway, it was a big win for Google. They had a huge pop in their share price this week. It's been the share price has been deflated compressed for years because of this lawsuit. But hopefully that's over now. Broadcom also kicked butt this week. Broadcom, AVGO, they kicked butt. That stock went up 15% in a day, and just showing that the AI is not over. It's not over, and I think from the group that I belong to, the guy's really, really smart. I don't know how he knows what he knows, but it's looking like there's at least a 2 to 3 year run yet on AI infrastructure, and then it's software will take over. But then the infrastructure needs to recycle its own structure with chips and databases and things like that. I'm going in a rabbit hole here, but I just think it's very interesting to see that everybody keeps talking about an AI bubble. Some stocks might be overpriced, but I don't think so. I don't. Some of them might be overpriced, but there's still a lot of room for these to run over the next couple of years. And that was it for the market. So my portfolio has been relatively. It went up 2%, came down 2%, went up 10%, 5%, not 5%, but 0.5%. So it's just been in this little fluctuation. And I'm nibbling at some stocks. I don't have much cash left over. Speaking of cash, so my wedding plans. So my wife came to me with the list. We have a coordinator at church who's helping her put the details together with the brochures, the flowers, ordering the drink truck, and we're gonna have a drink truck. I'd never saw anything like that before, but this drink truck is relatively cheap. They'll customize drinks for you right there in the parking lot for the people. And she this morning, the one morning I came out, I was pretty grumpy, just stressed, and she handed me the message from the lady who's helping us from church, basically our coordinator, putting all this together. And she handed me a list of stuff, and I got irritated. I'm like, it was just around the money, her list of everything we need to buy, and I'm like looking through it. 33,000 baht for flowers. That's $1,100. Is that realistic? I'm sure you can do more, but so it's 33,000 baht, $1,100 for flowers and a backdrop. I suppose so we can make photos. So some of these things can get really cheesy. I'd like more natural type photography and natural settings, but that's not how they do it here. It's very prescribed and fake, fake stuff, and I like more natural. I'd rather take the time to go somewhere in nature and take some photos there. That's actually an idea I might have there. So the videographer, the person who's taking video, 8,000 baht, so about $250. The person taking the photos, 4,000 baht. The person taking designing the brochure, 2,000 baht. The brochures, 1,000 baht. The invitations, 1,000 baht. The flower girl and the ring bearer costumes, 4,000 baht. I'm like, I don't think people pay for that in the U.S. Don't you pay for your own clothes? But not here. I'm expected to pay for it. But I'm grateful for these people here, So let me get to that point. And the Bible reader. So the girl who's going to read the Bible verses, she needs an outfit, and I got to pay for that. That's 3,000 baht, almost $100. So and then you have the sound system guy. That's 2,000 baht. And then you've got and then there's a bunch of helpers. They're about 500 baht a piece. So that's 4,000 baht. 8 helpers for various things. These people don't do anything for free, even if you're friends. And I'm thinking in the U.S., I haven't been to many weddings in the U.S., but I'm like, don't people volunteer? Pay for their own outfit unless they're asked to do something very specific. You pay for your own outfit. You volunteer. You're part of the process because you love the people but not here. Even though I don't really know them that well. I guess I have to be grateful that I did talk to Di. I got a little upset right at first because I'm thinking about, do I want to continue working for extra money? Every little bit will help, but then she gives me this. So all of this is coming to another. It's 70,000 baht, or $2,200. So I just did a tally of all the costs so far, and it looks like it's including everything. I'm at almost $11,000 now, and that includes 4 days. That includes bringing her family here, 4 members of her family, paying for their transportation, paying for their hotel, paying for them to eat here. We're going to go to the beach for a couple of days, so it does include that because none of them have been here. I mean, this is like coming to paradise. The beach will be a big deal, especially for the 2 young boys. They've never been outside of Laos, so they can't sleep. They're so excited, and it's 3 months away. She says they can't sleep. They keep telling all their friends, "We're going to Bangkok. We're going to Bangkok to see our aunt get married to a foreigner, and then we're going to the beach." I mean, the beach is a dream. Bangkok is a dream. The beach is like heaven. So I'm glad to be doing that. So she just caught me off guard with the initial costs, and I got a little irritated. And she's like, "Well, then we just stop everything." She was very calm about it. We just tell them no. And then I just had to pray, and I had to calm down, and I apologized to her, and I said, "I'm sorry for getting initially irritated, reacting." I said, "This is our wedding. I want us to have a good wedding, and this is what you want. That's what I want." And it's not that much. It's really just the cash flow. I have to make sure I have the cash because most of the stuff you have to pay up front, and I don't get my paycheck, my final paycheck, to cover it all until the end of the year. So I'm just praying that God helps me manage that. But I told her, I said, "This is our wedding. We've never been married before. This is our only wedding, and I want us to be a nice wedding. I want you to enjoy it." And ever since I did that, I switched my mind. I'm like, I accepted it now. We booked the hotel. We already booked the hotel for them to stay here in Bangkok. And we're waiting for them to get their passports so I can book the train for them to come and return. I said we need to do that in advance. It's 4 people, so we want to make sure they're together. And then it also includes the train and bringing them here, and then the hotel. And then I already booked the hotel for the beach, and really looking forward to that. And really, that's going to be the start of my retirement, because I'll have to come back. I maxed out. So that was the other thing. So I decided I'm not going to hang around here. I will be finishing in December. There's 4 days that I'll have to work because I don't have enough leave days. I could have taken the whole month off had I not taken leave for the wedding, but I'm taking that off, and so there's really only 4 days in December, the middle of December, that one of those days I have to go to the immigration to cancel my visa, so it's going to be really 3 days, and one of those days they might even try to have the Christmas party while I'm still there, and I don't really care if they do, but there's not going to be a whole lot, and so we should be moving and out of here by mid-December, and all of our stuff should be back in Laos before Christmas, so we'll be able to set things up and just start our next chapter of our life and be together in Laos for indefinitely, for Christmas, starting Christmas and New Year's. I mean, just really excited about it. Speaking of the house, before, what is this? How long is this now? Oh, this is getting long. Speaking of the house, I contacted the engineer again at the beginning of the week. He didn't respond. He said, I wrote him a couple days and then he didn't respond. Then he said, I'll get back to you this week. That was a week ago. I don't understand how these people get mud jobs and keep jobs. It's like he's pretty much the only game in town that delivers like good product, and I don't want someone to be renovating my house for cheap. Renovating my house and beautifying it, and then building an addition to it on legs. So we need to make sure this is done right. And I didn't hear from him all week, so it's almost a month now since he promised me. I just don't understand how people get jobs with this, and it's been like this with a couple people. I'm begging them, can I give you my money to do something for me? It's just like no sense of that business etiquette, or I don't know what you call it, that energy to keep a business. But maybe he just has so much he doesn't really care. Maybe this is a small project for him, I don't know. Or maybe he's delaying because he knows I probably won't be able to do anything now until the end of the year when I get paid. So that's it. I'm going to wrap it up there. This is 36 minutes, but this was really important for me to get this off my chest. Do an update for week 6, and maybe I'll break this off. I'll break this into 2 digestible parts. So break it down to like 15 to 20 minutes each, because I think 36 minutes tends to get a little too much for everybody. So thanks for joining me, everybody. The week is end of week 16, going into week 17 tomorrow. We're expecting this evening and tomorrow, the next couple days, to be thunderstorms. And this is Choice, of winding down chronicles of an expat going into early retirement. I'm not retired yet, but I'm getting there, and it's coming soon. 15 weeks to go. Take care, everybody. God bless, and take it slow.